Try Before We Die, everybody. The whiskey review show where we don't know what we're drinking, but we're happy to tell you what we're thinking. Hey, Mal.
I love this show.
Do you?
You know why? Because I get to drink Scotch.
I got your bill around here somewhere.
I don't want the bill.
You ever got a receipt from Walgreens or CVS and it just... that's what your tab looks like here. We should know by now that we pick out of the hundreds of bottles of whiskey through Randy, our number generator. We don't know what we're going to get. Over 400 bottles of single malt Scotch in this place.
That's what we call it there, Randy.
Randy. I would like you to feel Randy.
All right, I'm on it. Honest opinions.
Honest opinions, unscripted. We don't know what it's going to be.
And half the time we don't even know what we're talking about.
Yep.
Ooh, deep.
231. That puts us in the snooker room. We'll see everybody around the corner for bottle 231.
Try before we die with a bearded man and a British guy.
Hey, we made it to the snooker room, one of my favorite spaces in this bar. But today we're here to find bottle 231. We know this brings us to 28, 228 that is, 229, 230, 231. The Speyburn Arranta Casks. This is a 46% ABV. This is a USA release only. I can't confirm this. I'm going to look here at these bottles. Yes, of course, a Speyburn. It's a Speyside. The Arranta cask. So I believe Arranta is Gaelic for intrepid and daring. So they're sort of giving themselves a little kudos for the way they've casked this whiskey, which I believe to be bourbon and sherry. We'll take a closer look at the bar, but the Speyburn Arranta, no age statement, coming in at 46% ABV. We'll see everybody around the corner with Mal and find out what we think.
I heard some sort of unpronounceable name attached to Speyburn.
Hey Mal, we picked out a Speyburn. Well, Randy got us a Speyburn, the Speyburn Arranta. So what we know about this whiskey, based entirely on the labeling, is it is a USA market exclusive, and it turns out it's actually a entirely first fill bourbon cask.
Wow.
What does that mean?
Vanilla notes. Sweet.
That's the tasting.
All right.
What does first fill mean?
Oh. That means it's going to be strictly what was the first, well, I have to explain how this works.
Okay.
First fill means it was literally just the first time it was ever used, correct?
Right, so it held bourbon initially, okay?
Yes.
But this is the first time it's held Scotch.
Yes.
Right,
So initially, straight bourbon was last
shipped
time
to Scotland from
and then
America, so it's an ex-bourbon cask, and this is the first time it's held whiskey, which means we should be picking up a lot of these bourbon flavors.
Correct.
Which are traditionally what?
Vanilla.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep, some
Oaky.
spicy, some
Spicy.
oaky. Because it's a first fill, we should pick up a lot of that sweetness.
Yes.
So Arranta is...
Ooh! That's a first.
Cork failure. Let's see if we can solve this.
Got a screwdriver?
This is...
Now you really get to see how good you are. I have noticed that you didn't start sweating, which is pretty impressive.
This is going to be tight. I think this cork has truly failed us.
Easy. Oh yeah, you got it. You got it.
Don't panic. All it does is make the situation worse. Very subtle.
Yeah.
Blow.
Almost struggling. But you have that. Much better when you're pouring it.
In the meantime, we do have enough of a cork. All right, the Arranta. Gaelic for intrepid and daring. So they feel like they've created something with these first fill casks that is maybe a little much.
All right.
Taking a chance. 46% ABV, so we really should be feeling something. I just want to see if there's a coloration statement. USA market exclusive, Speyburn limited release, first fill bourbon, hand selected by instinct. It just seems like marketing. This limited release, USA exclusive single malt, uses first fill ex-bourbon casks in American oak for a bold flavor profile, rich golden in appearance with flavors of toffee, vanilla, honey, and coconut with long-lasting spicy finish. Let's check Malcolm's memory, everybody.
No.
Where did we get this bottle?
Well, did we get this one in Rhode Island?
I feel like we got it from one of our cameramen.
Really?
I'm not getting a recognition. I must have bought it then.
Think it was Rhode Island?
Oh, so this is what Derek, one of our cameramen, brought us a Speyburn. I think the 15-year-old. Yeah, I'm getting an affirmation behind me. This was another option that same day when he was narrowing it down to which two bottles. He didn't get it, and so then I picked it up.
All right.
All right. So the Arranta.
On a side note,
Yep.
I'd like to see you do it at some stage. And maybe I
Wasn't
don't pay
this good to
attention.
see me do?
Yeah, it was. But I'd like to see a WTF on why there are African just exclusive to certain countries.
This is an Australian exclusive.
Yeah.
Right, so it's true.
Yeah.
Oh, we can dig into that.
All right.
But in the meantime, let's keep digging into this.
Because I don't get this exclusive. I don't understand why he would.
I bet there's an element of it that's purely money making, but I also bet there's an element of it that's related to the amount of spirit they have.
All right.
I absolutely know for a fact that there are exclusives to most of the European countries as well. Italian release, a German release, so I know that to be true too. All right. Light gold?
Yes.
Yep, that's easy.
Yep.
Right. We're definitely into gold. We're not into pale. We're not into straw. We have moved into the gold range. Hopefully it seems clear to everybody in this presentation. The Intrepid and Daring Cask from Speyburn.
And quick legs.
Yes. They have to work on their cork game. This bottle has only been here for a few months, and it's a new release.
Maybe you just got one bad cork.
Yeah, maybe I got it.
Maybe you did.
Yeah.
But you were prepared.
I was. That's why again, we don't panic. All right, nose?
Yep.
All right, there's some alcohol there. Mellows quickly.
The punch
Definitely a bourbon cask.
Yeah, the punch was actually in the beginning of it.
Absolutely.
And that must be from that first fill bourbon. Because you get that.
Between the first fill bourbon and the higher ABV. Relaxing pretty well.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. Not overly.
Now, I'm going to make something up here, but I think I'm right. And so I try to learn a little bit about whiskeys as they come into the bar, and there's a lot to pay attention to.
I don't.
I believe this whiskey won a gold medal in a New York spirit competition. All right, so we'll find that out at some point. We'll get that up on a TBWD fact if because the guys love it when I'm wrong on those things.
I love it when you're wrong. You get the vanilla.
I'm exciting. I'm excited. I'm not. Well, I guess no. They're developing. They're traveling very slowly. Do you see the legs moving so slowly down? They take a long time to develop, and it just creeps. That gets me excited for some mouthfeel. I hope it's there. You ready?
Yeah. Well.
Absolutely a spicy finish. I could almost go, but I can control the burn. It is very moderately spicy, not very spicy. It's got a good spicy finish.
What I liked about this is it's a very inviting drink. It invites you to drink it.
Do you have something tangy in there on the tip of your tongue?
No, maybe a little bit back off it.
Oh, you've got some tang?
Yes.
Yeah. Can't stand this flavor. I got coconut. Not my favorite flavor in the
Really?
world. Right. But I just picked some up. It's not dominant. It's not ruining this experience. I found some coconut flavor. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm listening.
You definitely get that bourbon feel. As someone who drinks bourbon, I feel like I'm drinking a bourbon that has been refined. And you talk about not spicy. 3 drinks, 3 sips in a row, and now my back of my tongue is slightly numb, and I've got some heat.
Yep. Oh, I
That's
find
right
it to
here.
be moderately spicy, but not burny.
Not burning.
Right.
I don't get your coconut, but I do get some sort of, maybe some sort of candied cherry, maybe.
So they're noting something bitter here too, and that I think is my tangy, is what they're calling bitter. Soapy. So I think that soapy and that bitter, that tangy could, for me, those could be what's happening there.
That's interesting that that's what they call it, soapy. Which goes back to this conversation where they use words that make no sense whatsoever when you're drinking something. Why would you drink something that's soapy? But that soapy feel is that almost like, when you do get soap in your mouth and you get that, you try to wash it out, you're trying to rinse it out, and you have that feel.
It's,
And you can't quite get rid of it, but it's there.
it coats.
That's what it is.
Yeah. That's how soap works,
Yeah.
right? Right.
But that's interesting they use words like that. Why would you want to use a word for soapy? The last thing I want to do is put soap in my mouth.
Right. Well, when we talk about the descriptors that we'll see in books or that we'll even talk about, folks are trying to be genuine, right? And again, words that really have no place in something we're ingesting, right? But yet might be the accurate word to discuss or describe the experience
Like
we're having.
Ethan had mentioned. Something
Yeah.
that reminds you of something.
Right.
Something that you can pull from your memories. That's what it's about. That's what
Right,
the
to
drink
bring
is
you
about.
to a time in your life when your mom punished
But I
you,
get the soapy.
put you in the corner, and made you eat a bar of soap.
Yeah, wash your mouth out. But I get that. But it's interesting that's the word they're using to describe it. I never would think of describing something as soapy. But you definitely get that feeling like it's washing your mouth. You've got something that's just cloying that you're trying to get rid of, and it isn't getting rid of.
This is an interesting whiskey, right? And this goes to the release in the States, and for whatever the reasons are, how much inventory did they have? What culture did they feel would appreciate this whiskey, right? If they're not going to go global with it, did they have enough to go global? Or did they say, based on America's love affair with bourbon, we really want to shift this first fill bourbon cask whiskey back to America, right? This could be a trial, right? Because you'll see that, right? You'll see companies sort of discuss where does this belong in our marketing scheme, right? Who's our end user? Who's our customer?
So to answer that question, as a bourbon drinker, I like this for the fact that it is a first.
Yeah.
fill. I like the fact that it's got more of this bourbon feel. It almost is to the point where I'm like, I could easily switch this out. If I had a bourbon I wanted to switch, I could switch this out and
Go
not
back
really
and
feel
forth.
like I'm losing something.
It's not as sweet as a bourbon.
No, and
Right.
that's probably the bit that I really enjoy because you're not having to deal with the sweet notes of the bourbon. You've got this spice, you've got this soapiness, as they're calling it, that changes the drink. But as a bourbon drinker, you can taste that this is probably from probably it is from a first freaking fill bourbon cask.
I think it was the Speyburn. Could have been the Lomond. That was the Iraq. The golden salmon. The Braden Iraq. Was that a Speyburn?
You're asking me?
It just is so different. I just want to see if I'm right in that, and then we'll move on.
Is that a new book?
This is a new book. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the Speyburn, the Braden Iraq. That's the golden salmon, right? Because the River Spey, all these things well known in the salmon fishery, right? Again, so different than this whiskey, right? Mm-hmm. Again, so never get hung up on, oh, I've had that distillery before. I loved it, and then maybe this isn't what you were after, or I didn't really like that one, and so I'll never try another one, right? The process, the distillers, they're blending in-house to create their releases. You know, read the label, understand what you're going to try, how it's been casked, what they think it tastes like. Maybe check out a resource. Maybe check out an online YouTube resource. And realize that there are other flavors, other profiles from a distillery that you loved or you didn't love. Everybody gets a second chance, or in Mal's case, a third chance, or in my case, like a fifth chance.
I think what the real point is every distillery has a base that they work from.
Yeah.
But as we have seen over many episodes that we've shot of this thing, you get so many variations.
There's a range with what they do with their spirit.
Correct.
And then and that's the finishing, that's the casking. That's why there are several people in this world whose noses are insured for millions of dollars, because they know all the flavors.
Correct.
And they pick them up and they say this and that, and you can find little YouTube videos where you can see the guys mixing up the little samples to go, and I found it, and then they just extrapolate out for a bigger batch and they have a release. Yeah. All right. The Speyburn, the Arranta, Gaelic for daring and intrepid. They took a risk here, is what they're saying.
Now, do you feel they took a risk?
Do you think it? Well, so do I feel like they took a risk? I feel like they. All right, so that's an interesting question. Did they take a risk? They took a risk in releasing to one market. So their experiment, their feedback is only coming from one culture, from one market. They took a risk by giving us no information about age statements, so we don't know what's going on in terms of how long it's been. Entirely first fill. They took a risk as an industry, as a distillery, to have these first fill barrels and dedicate it to this, meaning those barrels the next time they're used are not first fill. So they've taken all the flavor from those first fill barrels and given it to this.
Right.
So there are a lot of risks happening here, right? Is it a risk to make a first fill bourbon whiskey? No. But they took some risks as a company to make the investment both in marketing, shipping, and utilization of the barrels to produce this. So there is some risk being taken here.
All right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, fair.
All right. All right. The Speyburn Arranta cask. No age statement, 46% ABV, entirely first fill bourbon. I got that coconut. Mal's convinced it's bourbon for sure. I agree with him. It's got a nice lingering finish, but not too burny. Little punchy at first, but once it breathes and relaxes, it mellows out. There's something soapy or bitter through this. That's not a negative, but it's an interesting taste that we're having. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what the crew has for us today.
This is you.
May the wind at your back always be your own.
I gotta find out where these get these, because this is unreal. But that's an interesting bourbon. It's an interesting bourbon Scotch. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it is. It's what I think also is risky about it is that they said, you know what, we're gonna leave it with this woody, soapy, bitter flavors and these coconuts, because these bourbon casks often will find that vanilla.
Yep.
Right. I'm not having a vanilla experience.
Not a huge one, no.
Right. Right. These guys said something a little smoky. Did you pick up anything mildly smoky?
I didn't even.
I didn't find the smoke either. And again, I'm still really having this woody, bitter, soapy experience, right? Real quick, one word, two tops. Where are you drinking this?
Start.
Start the evening.